The Spin-Off Podcast Network.
Kia ora, I'm Alex Casey, Senior Writer at The Spin-Off. Next week, we'll be counting down the top 100 New Zealand television shows of the 21st century. But to celebrate the shows that were disqualified, forgotten, or just too weird, join me, Kura Forrester, Rhiannon McCall, and fellow Spin-Off writers live on stage at Q Theatre on October 31st. Prepare for a night of hot takes and cursed clips as we unearth television treasures and argue for their place in our history books. Tickets are on sale now at thespinoff.co.nz/events.
Does your brand have something important to say through meaningful messaging that reaches the right audience? At The Spin-Off, we work closely with our partners to create bespoke campaigns that bring value to both your brand and our audience. If you're interested in learning more about partnering with us, email Beck, that's BEC, at thespinoff.co.nz.
You're listening to Business is Boring, a podcast that reckons it's anything but. Business is Boring is brought to you by SparkLab, offering inspiration and practical advice to help businesses find their edge. To hear more about SparkLab, including details about the latest events, workshops, and business tools, visit sparklab.co.nz. And now, here's your host, Simon Pound.
Kia ora koutou katoa. Welcome to Business is Boring. Trades are a hard business. You're selling time, and things out of your control can throw your day and billing upside down, like a delay on a part, a sick worker, or a cancellation. People pay late and try to get discounts after the job is done. The worst thing, though, is if someone doesn't pay at all. With most tradies being small businesses running on tight margins with owner-operators, a big job going south can threaten the business's very survival. This is what Max Semmons-Russell faced when a job he'd completed never paid him $30,000, threatening his business and making life as a breadwinner for a young family with a big mortgage hellish. He figured there had to be a better way, and so researched and launched Green Light Escrow to create escrows for trade projects. An escrow is an old concept where part or all the agreed fee is put in a trust account and released on completion of the project. It's been rarely used in modern times, but could be the unlock to helping ensure tradies and clients can take on jobs with confidence. To talk the potential for Green Light Escrow, making payments fair and transparent, and launching a startup on top of running a successful and busy plumbing business, Max Semmons-Russell joins us now. Tēnā koe. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me today. Yeah.
Hey, tell us about how you came to be in the plumbing trade.
Okay, that's going back a very long time. So I'm 37 now, and I was asked to leave Western Springs College when I was 15, and I hadn't finished my NCA school cert or anything. But I was a little bit crazy as a kid, or I just wasn't focused at school. But anyway, so I left, when I was 15, and me and a group of mates got asked to leave. And so my dad said I need to get a job. So the first thing I did was me and my mates went down to labour hire. It was in the city. It's basically you just go down there and line up for a job and go to construction sites and help out doing scaffolding or sweeping and things like that. And that was my first sort of taste of as working in the construction industry. My dad's a tradie. He's a solid plasterer, so I was always sort of on site my whole life growing up. He had his own business, and so that was my first taste, and I did that for a couple of years, on and off, and other things as well, and sort of just growing up.
It's kind of brutally hard work for a 15-year-old.
Yeah, but it was. Yeah, some days were tough. It was thirsty work, but so eventually my dad was like, "Oh, looks like you're not going back to school, so you should do an apprenticeship or something." And because he works out in his job's like an outdoor job, so, solid plastering, like sand and cement, and you can only work when it's sunny, basically. So if it rains, like there's no work.
In Auckland.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, he's done it all around the world, but yeah. So he was like, you should do. He thought plumbing would be a good trade, and all the plumbers he saw over the years, they were always sort of busy or had a job, and when he wasn't working, they were always working. So and a group of my older friends had started plumbing as well. So I thought that was the perfect fit, and sort of got it into an apprenticeship when I was 17.
And it's a really clear path, right? Like into the apprenticeship, learn, build up your skills, and over time get your own van, build your own business, and kind of grow into being a business owner. Tell us about going through those stages. Like, what's it like being in an apprenticeship and then moving into your own business?
Well, when I first started, maybe I always knew one day I would start a business, but when I was doing my apprenticeship, it was so far away from it, like starting a business was just it was totally out of my mind. I just was concentrating on working hard and finishing my apprenticeship. It took about 4.5 years. It's usually about 4.5, 5, 6 years. And then I got qualified when I was 21, and then basically worked for a whole bunch of different plumbing companies over the years and sort of got really good at it. And that was, like I said, I thought I'd start a business, but even then I was like, it seemed like such a big jump, even if I had got a really good skill set. And but then eventually when I was 30, and we had our second child, and I was like, needed more money, and that was basically it. I was like, okay, I think it's time to give it a go. And basically bought a van, said goodbye to my old company, and then a friend of mine, Rob from Supreme Plumbing, I think
who's been on this podcast as well.
He's a really good dude. So I saw my plan was to just contract to him for and like just sort of see how it goes, but then it just took off all of a sudden, and had my own jobs, and I was away.
And like, trades is a really interesting area of business, right? Because in the culture, trades is like known for kind of its relaxed humor and a bit of banter and, enjoying a beer or something.
Yeah.
But actually, trades, like good tradespeople, are some of the most precise people who care about delivering a really good job and are so buttoned down on the details. And half of the shtick that I see trades business owners give other people is about the quality of work, like it's a super precise industry with maybe not the most precise reputation in the world. Is that a fair kind of summary?
Yeah, for sure. And I think like now too with social, like with Instagram, and most tradies or trades businesses have their Instagram and they're showing their work too. You really got to like pick your game up. But there's still a ton of cowboys out there. But yeah.
Oh, that's super interesting, like the role of trades influencers and people sharing it. And so much of it is about like, look how perfectly this has been delivered.
Yeah. Like I was did a podcast with a guy, HVAC Diablo. It's like aircon units. He's in California. He's got a crazy number of people following. I can't remember what it was. It was like nuts. But yeah, so and it's just him doing like installing HVACs, but doing it really well. And just so many tradies in the world, they just hone in on it.
And then if someone is a bit hard case, they can really build a great following for it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And like with that path to being business owners, there's another element of that where, like most businesses fail, and most businesses fail within the first couple of years. But most trades businesses last for years until the person chooses to stop working in them. So if you actually look at the world of business, people like trades owners are often amongst the most successful business owners in terms of not failing and keeping on doing well, but aren't always looked at in the business context, right?
Yeah. Well, and I thought that too, and because when I was an employee, I didn't really see the business side of it, and you never really do. But the company I was working for before I started my own thing, Allied Plumbing, the owner there, Steve Frogley, he was like, I think at the time he had close to 100 staff, and he has this massive yacht and like latest Land Rover, and he has a house in St. Mary's Bay. And I was like, holy shit, you can like actually make some money if you do this properly.
And you've got to be really good, because if you're selling time and there's so many things that can not go your way if you're doing a time-based business, right?
Yeah. And obviously one of those is not getting paid. So that's where everything's all good. There's like, it's a tough job, and there's that, and you have to deal with a lot of people every day. Like you got, especially with plumbers and electricians, you're going into different houses every day and have to meet different people, like numerous amounts of people every day. But yeah, it's hard, but everything's fine until you don't get paid, and then it's like, oh, this is shit. So
yeah, well, tell us about what has happened to you that led you to start investigating and making this business in the world of escrow.
Yeah, so and even like the business side, I didn't really hear much about like coming up, but you always heard like if someone hadn't paid someone, like my boss or even my dad, like this, like it's just a really well-known fact. But they were just stories, and I sort of didn't take much notice of them until and I started my own company, and then someone didn't pay me, and I was like, oh shit, this actually sucks. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, I've gone and bought all this material, and I've got to pay all my staff, and then this money's not gonna come. So like, I've got to pay my staff and pay the suppliers. Like, how am I gonna juggle 30, 40, 50 grand? Like, that's what you make in a year if you're lucky, So you just gotta, it's tough. So, and
it's a low margin time selling industry. Like it's real hard, which is why to do well in those businesses, you've got to be actually running a particularly good business, and you're dealing with such a range of clients. Like, I don't know, maybe someone's doing a reno job on a property and they're overextended and they actually are cowboys, and then they get you in, and if you do the work and then they blow up, you're screwed.
Yeah, you can just get called out. There's like so many different ways you can get called out and not be paid. You just never know what's going on behind the scenes. Even with the market, residential housing market dipping a couple of years ago, that called out so many people, and then we're just, tradies are stuck at the bottom. I mean, if someone's got like remortgaged their house to pay for this renovation, and then the house prices come down a little bit, and then their budget, the job goes over budget a bit, and they need another 100K to finish it, but the bank's like, oh no, your house ain't worth that much now, and we can't give that to you. There's no way, like, then generally don't tell the people building, like the tradies, because they want to really get the project finished, because then they can get a revaluation at the end, and then it might all work out. But I've been in that situation before and not been paid in that way.
Yeah, and you just don't know you're taking on that risk, right? You're just trying to do a job. Yeah. You don't know what's going on in the background.
Generally you've given a quote for, X for Y, and you're sticking to that. And that's, and you sort of just got to complete that, and you're meant to get paid.
And so when that happened to you, I mean, you had a young family, a business that you were trying to grow, like going 30, 40, 50K backwards because someone has, defrauded you essentially.
Yeah, basically. And there's not a lot you can do. But so I just worked my ass off and got out of that situation. And I was lucky, and then it happened again. And then I was like, oh, this isn't looking good, and why is this happening? And so that's where Green Light Escrow the idea was born. And I simply said, why to friends of mine, like, the money should be in the middle. Like, why can't it be in the middle? And then basically got the answer, if you could figure that out, like, you could make some big changes. And then just, I think I told you last time I was talking to you, a friend of mine, I was talking to him, and he just said, oh, that sounds like escrow. And then I just Googled it, and that's exactly what I was trying to do. Just so independent third party that sort of controls it could, like we use a trust account, but it could be could be us three here today, and you're like want to swap an apple for an orange, and then we just got a mediator. So
and so the concept, you put the money in the middle in some kind of trusted, safe space, and then let's say you're doing it week by week, then you can say, hey, put next week's amount that it'll be in the middle, and then I'll do the work, and then once it's done, you pay me the money. And so it's never at risk unless you've completed the job to the agreed specifications, right?
Yeah, and it's like so basic. It's like, it's not a confusing thing. Yeah, just like you agree, like if I was doing your renovation of your bathroom and it was $10,000, then we just agree that the 10,000 goes in the middle. I do the job, and then on completion, you release it. Yeah,
and it's great because you shouldn't be doing the job unless you got the money as a worker, as a kind of like person who's doing the I want the renovation done.
Yeah,
and it means you can always do work knowing that you're going to get paid if you do the work.
Yeah, it's such a different, because I've been using it for the last year, and I've been in business coming up 6 years. So the feeling of like, it's just a different feeling, like having the money in the middle, and the client, like my clients appreciate it too, and they know what like they're getting, and they feel sick, because usually I've in the past asked for a cash deposit for 1%, like 20% or whatever, and they're a little bit uneasy about that. But now with this system, and it's just a different feeling. I'm just like so much more relaxed, and it's cool. It's really cool.
It's kind of an extra level of professionalism, right? It's like, here we go. Here's a process to go.
It's just the trades evolving. Like I use, I haven't been in business that long, but a friend of mine, Dan Pollard, he created Fergus. And I was chatting to him, and he's like even 15 years ago, people were writing in pieces of paper and notebooks and stuff like that. There was no Fergus 15 years ago. So like that was like one of the first sort of evolutions of the business side of it, I think. And then there's Tradeify, and there's other ones around as well. And then I feel like it's a different thing, but this is the next thing. I feel like the payments side of it and the contract side of it have a big hole in them.
Yeah, as so many people have maybe some terms and conditions, but they're never kept to, right?
No, and that's also where a lot of, so there was the situation I explained with the market crashing, but the other one that's really common is that the two parties, like the tradie and the homeowner, they agree on something, but it's sort of in the wind, and like it's not really clear, and then the job gets done and it's 3 times the price, and then obviously like the homeowner's like, upset, fair enough, but the tradie feels like they've explained this, but but the homeowner doesn't know what the hell plumbing this and that is. So I feel like, and we're sort of working on something too with some AI, and we're going to have it on our landing page to sort of help the two parties get on the same page before they even start, and then it's going to direct them to using Green Light Escrow as well. But I think that's another problem to be figured out.
Yeah, because any kind of like change to scope, could you just put that over there instead of here? You're like, yes, but it's gonna cost.
And everything's like, it's just it's just mayhem. Like it's controlled chaos, but like if it rains and the drain fills up with water and you have to pump it out, and it's 2 hours later before you can, and then it's just the backyard's a sloppy mess now, and then you got to fix that after, and it just adds all this time, and if you haven't, and just there's just so many things that can happen.
And with that, escrow's probably it's probably a word that for the last 20 years has popped up in crosswords or something, because it's so kind of archaic and not in common usage. But it's a really old idea, and a very solid idea in law and business practice, but it's just kind of fallen out of use. So when you found that this concept existed, how did you go about then going, well, how could we make a product around this?
Yeah, so I Google again and found escrow.com in the States, and they do that, but everything, they have a partnership with eBay, and you can, if you're buying something online, but they also had trades and services in there, and you could do you could swap anything with escrow.com, and and I couldn't really find any trade-specific escrows. Like there was a handful of like document or like studies done, or this could be this could work, but no one had really done it. But what I was just convinced this is like I have to figure this out. So I wasn't slowing down, but I did find a shipping container company or like a escrow company for shipping called Outward. And then that's when I knew, okay, this is like in some way I can make this work legally in New Zealand, because they had like they had a website and software sort of solution. And I rang the dude. Or actually, I was playing around, I was logging in and out of his thing and doing all this stuff, and he rang me and he was like, "Hey man, what the hell are you doing?" Like, And I was like, "Oh, I'm trying to figure out like if I can do this with construction." And he sort of said, "Yeah, you can." So, and then my co-founder Adam is my really good friend. He's a law student, or he's got his master's now, but he joined the team, and he handled that stuff. But yeah, that was the key for me knowing that it was possible in New Zealand, was this Outward company.
Awesome. And we'll be back in a moment with Max Semmons-Russell to talk how he started Green Light Escrow and built it on top of his busy plumbing business. Spark is proud to partner with the Sustainable Business Network and the Climate Action Toolbox. The free Climate Action Toolbox can provide you with simple step-by-step guides to measure and reduce your emissions. Help lead the way to a low-carbon future for New Zealand. Visit sparklab.co.nz/sustainability to find out more.
Kia ora, I'm Duncan Grieve, founder of The Spinoff. You can help us keep all of The Spinoff's award-winning journalism free for everybody by becoming a member today at thespinoff.co.nz/donate.
Talofa lava. I'm Madeline Chapman, editor at The Spinoff. If you have the means, consider supporting our high-quality journalism by becoming a Spinoff member. Sign up now at thespinoff.co.nz/donate.
Hoki mai anō. Welcome back to Business is Boring. So you've got a team of 6, 4 vans around the place, a digger, a truck, pretty successful business that you've built up with lots of moving parts, right? Like that just means there's so many jobs last days at a time, so much stuff to organise. How do you go about on top of that starting a fintech software company?
It was crazy, and I'm a little bit crazy. And people told me like, "Oh, you're doing too much." Like I heard it numerous times, or people talking about me saying, "Oh, he's gonna, you can't do that and do all this on top." I actually started another company too at the time, Thirsty Work Lager. It was like a contract brewing thing with brothers, so I had that too. But it was really easy. It was not a lot. But I read one of the Elon Musk books. This guy had followed him around for a couple of years, and that was really inspiring. And he just talked about how much work he did, and I was like, holy shit. I was like, nah, I'm not doing too much, and like I can do a lot more. And obviously my wife, and she's really supportive, and I couldn't do all the stuff I'm doing without her. But yeah, basically just, I've got the laptop with me now, like it's just constant 7 days a week, non-stop for the last 3 years, researching, doing bits and pieces. But I really enjoy it. And I'm really like focused, and I know I can make, like, it's coming. It's very slow. It started very slow, but I know it's coming, and I'm going to help a lot of people. So keeps me motivated, yeah.
What are the steps that are involved, right? So you've got to set up like, like a fintech software thing, like something that can actually do the plumbing between client placing money in, having it in trust, and then a trades business owner being able to draw on it. Like all of that's a whole lot of work. But then you've also got the piece around educating the market about what this thing is and getting people to change their existing behaviours and work patterns, which is no small job, right?
I think that's the hardest part, is the education. It's slowly happening, and I'm doing the best job I can, but I've got some plans to sort of spread the work, and being here today is obviously going to help. But there was the legal side, so financial service provider regime. So we had to become a member of that, get our anti-money laundering paperwork correct, and what else do we have to do? Privacy policy, terms of trade, a lot of legal stuff. But it was really straightforward. It just hire a lawyer, cost money. But the building of the software was really that was a lot of brain drain and a lot of stress and ups and downs, and getting that first product launched a year ago. It was two years of not hell, but to graft and grind.
And how are you doing that? Because you have to learn what it is you're trying to do, research it. You've almost got to learn a new vocabulary, right? When you try to do a new thing, to actually then work with specialists in their area to help get what you want done in their world.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still learning. But on day one, when I was money in the middle. When at that point, money in the middle, I didn't know what a startup was. I didn't know what venture capital was. I didn't know what fintech was. I didn't even know any of the stuff. 3 years later, I've sort of done my apprenticeship, but I've had help along the way. Like I mentioned, Dan from Fergus. I also did my mum's Māori. I did a accelerator program, Kōkiri, in the first 18 months I'd started, and learnt the basic 101s of what a startup is and technology, and then through Kōkiri, I met Mahesh from Phase 1, and he took a liking to me, and I'm part of his cohort currently. So what was surprising, so when I started my plumbing company, obviously Rob and another friend of mine, Joe from Southpaw Electrical, there's actually a lot of people, but not so many. But there was some people that were really helpful and give you advice and stuff. But they're my good friends. And then I jumped into the startup world, and there were so many people willing to help. And they're like, "Oh, that's a cool idea," and then it's just sort of rolled on like that. So all the advisors and people have helped me. Some good and some bad, but
you got to filter it.
You do have to filter it. And early on, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's cool," but now I'm like, I got to pick my time, because the best time now is just spent building the product and talking to my customers. But yeah, that's how I learned. Yeah.
Well, Kōkiri has delivered so much value to the ecosystem with the work they've done over the years, and really excited to see what will come next to replace that with the work of a lot of people.
Yeah, because that one sort of, it's not around anymore, which is a shame. But so.
And Phase 1 Ventures, Mahesh is such a weapon, and his approach, which I love, because not all advisors and not all startup programs are equally valuable, right? His approach of find your 100 customers and then, deliver value to them and spend all your time talking to customers and building something they want, which sounds pretty simple, is actually really hard.
It's so hard.
Yeah, but so valuable, right?
Yeah, and he's a really big thinker. And I've sort of buttoned off because it's really hard. There's other founders in San Francisco and New York, and they're all around the world. But I've got a different circle. I'm a bit older, and I've got 2 kids and my wife, and I'm sort of looking Australia, New Zealand, and there's nothing stopping me getting to the States. But I think for me myself, it's a more secure pathway. But yeah, his thinking really opened my mind up. I was looking at the States and talking to people there. And I think I will make it there. But yeah, his thinking really, it's a game changer.
Yeah, talk us through some of that, that approach of find 100 people and interview them before you and then use those people to become your first customers and then build the features with them. It's just such a great way to build a first product.
Yeah, I mean, and we're still on the road to that 100. So we're just under 10 at the moment. We've had more than 10 people use the product, but we've got a bunch of people that use it for every job, and they talk to us and they're like, "Oh, we can change this," and so we're just listening to them. But I'm still on that road to the 100, and I think with the 100, I'll have some really good data and feedback, and because the product we have now, and it works like magic, but it can be so much better. Like it's it's the first year of it being out there, and we've got a lot of ideas and things we want to sort of build out. But yeah, we just continue to. We're going to hit our first $1 million worth of transactions, I think, before the end of the year. And not that we've made $1 million, but it's a massive milestone. Like I didn't, even getting the first dollar for it was like massive, and now I'm gonna, get to the first $1 million, and then I feel like after that it's just the world's my oyster. Like once I get 100 customers, so that I hit that $1 million and then get to 100, and then
because it's like a behavior change that like the industry needs to learn about what escrow is. They know the problem, like everyone knows the problem of not getting paid, but then to learn what escrow is, and then to go, how do I educate my customers to do something new and different, and will that be easy or hard? And then, so you got to educate both sides of the market. But after a certain point, right, because it's so much better for the trades business owners and so much better for the clients to know that they've got someone who's a proper professional, who's going to, you only pay that week's work once it's done. Like it's all super tidy. It'll hopefully get its own momentum, right?
I think so. It's already starting to, in a way. Like on Friday, a tiny home company emailed us and said that there was a tiny home expo on. They said that a couple of their customers came up to them and asked about escrow and if they have an escrow account. But I think that is because there is a company that has joined us, smallbuilds.co.nz, and they've just started up, but they had a sign out that this expo, and they had their company and they had Green Light Escrow there as a payment system. But I think anyways, but I know actually it didn't come from that, but I thought, because this other tiny home thing, they said that the customers had asked, and then this guy had asked his lawyers if they can set up a trust account, and they said, "Oh no, don't worry about that. Call these guys."
Great.
And then I rang the guy and was like, "Who are your lawyers?" Like I thought it might be my lawyer, and he said Smith and something, and I'd never heard of them. So like it is like people are catching on.
And it would be hell of an expensive to set up through your lawyers a trust account for every job you did, right? But with your service, like, how does it work? Like, and what are the cost structures for people if they do use your service versus calling up a lawyer and paying thousands?
Can I just touch back on that point? Because you make a really good point. It's the education part is like that's the hardest part, and it's because the old way of doing it is do the job, invoice, and get paid. And we're trying to move the invoice to the start. So invoice first is first step, and then do the job and then get paid. Well, you're already basically paid, but the education getting from invoice last to invoice first is really tricky.
Yeah, and so good, because unlock the money by doing a good job will lead to better outcomes than do a job and then chase the money.
Yeah.
Not great.
And not be on the same page. And then, anyway.
Tell us about how it's structured in terms of the
what
costs,
we charge,
right? Yeah, because like working with a lawyer each time is a lot.
Yeah.
Or like you use your service.
Yeah, exactly. Or you use. So, I mean, the lowest fee, so we've just changed our fees to 2%, capped at $250 per transaction. So if it was a $1 million transaction, we're not going to charge you $25,000. We're only going to charge you $250. And your money is held in the exact same account as a lawyer would have, but for, a fraction, like literally a fraction of the price. So yeah, that's our fees, 2% capped at $250, and we have all this safety of a trust account that a lawyer has. And that's basically it.
Yeah,
you don't have to sign. There's no subscription. There's So we do have a couple competitors, one here, one in Australia, and I think there's one in the UK. But they have a subscription model, so you have to sign up to all this, and then they charge you monthly, even if you don't use it. But we're just like, come as you need, and so you might not want to use it for every single transaction, but if you have one you're a little bit worried about and you don't know the client, and you're like, or a homeowner and you want to use it for a one-off, you don't have to sign up for anything. You just come use it when you get, and we don't charge you anything until you get paid as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And so you set up like agreement about what it is that the money is going to be released if it's met.
Yes.
Like kind of like a contract.
Yeah.
And then upload the money. Everyone sees it. The work starts. You agree that it was done is done.
Yeah.
Boom. And then you just clip 2% if it's
2% capped at $250. Yeah.
Yeah. And what are the next steps for you now? Like, how do you go about keeping on building this momentum? Because I think, we caught up the other week and it was really cool to hear that people you'd never met had found the service and now are putting pretty much all of their business, all of their projects in their business through your platform, which is kind of amazing, right?
It is. And honestly, like these customers came in, organic customers, and I'd be really worried and I probably would have given up by now, if they had come, used it once and then sort of buggered off. But they came and they use it, and for one person in particular uses it for every single job. So yeah, if the customers had come and then left, used it once and gone, and left, I would have been really worried. But they've come, stayed, and continue to use it. So I know we're onto something.
Yeah. Yeah, and what are the next steps to keep getting the word out, and how do you keep building this?
Yeah, I think so. I believe that Instagram is our path to growth. It's free. Every single trade, not every single, but most trades businesses now have an Instagram profile showcasing their work and their team. And 5 years ago, that didn't really exist. It did, but not like now. Like everyone, Green Acres, everyone has an Instagram now. So I think our easiest route to tapping into meeting and also those companies that are like the old school, the old boys or girls, they're not on Instagram, but this new sort of age coming through has Instagram. So it's an easy way and you just get straight into their DM and you're usually in contact with the owner. Yeah. So or it's their wife, or some have social media managers, but not many. So it's really easy to tap in, and we've actually just started an affiliate program, and talking to a couple of people and hoping, and they're tradies with quite large followings, like 20,000. I'm trying to get hold of one in Australia of 150,000 followers. So I think that's our growth, easiest path to growth, and getting them to help us educate the market that way, and with this affiliate program, they'll be rewarded as well. But the people that I've reached out to, I've made it really clear that they have to believe in the product. If they're not, if they're a business owner currently and an influencer, they have to use Green Light. If they don't have a business and they're aspiring business owners, they have to believe in it, and it'd be something they recommend to their family. But it's just, I'm going to try this. Like we just built this feature into, like I could give you one today. It could be, if anyone does. We want our businesses to hold all of their margin. I mean, if someone signs up watching this today, I'll make a code for you, Simon. It'll be Simon 2024, and so they'll get a 20% discount. Any traders that use it,
and like that kind of stuff, right? Like growing a business, experimenting with new things, finding your path, getting out there and educating. That's all new stuff to learn as a entrepreneur and owner, right? But what are the similarities between nurturing and growing a business to being a leader in a trades business where you're, helping people grow up as people, gain skills? You got to do all of the marketing, customer relations, the business administration. Yeah. Like you wear a lot of hats in a trades business ownership role, right?
Yeah, currently I'm wearing most of them. But I've not subbed out, but I've got a bookkeeper, accountant, obviously, QS. But the rest of them, I'm wearing them. But yeah, it's full on, like getting up, but I enjoy it. So, and I don't know if it'll be the same because I've got Green Light now. I'm like super motivated. I was motivated before, but now I'm like a different level. And But I do feel like I'm a good role model for the guys and girls that are working for me now, and others that follow me on Instagram. They're like, oh, look what this guy's doing. So yeah, but it's tough.
Oh, it's awesome to see, man. And then in terms of like advice, what advice would you have for someone who is interested in like, you know, sees a big problem and like is interested in solving it?
If they're in New Zealand listening, just reach out to me. Like I can give my basic 101 sort of direction. But I think just go for it. If you have an idea, and I've talked to like a couple of people have reached out to me, and they're like, "Oh, I've got this idea," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, well, what is it?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't really want to tell you." And it's like, nah, I mean, if it's gonna work, like you have to tell everyone and see what the reaction is. Like, no one's gonna steal your idea. Like, if they do, they better. If you're so into it, they've got to work just as hard as you to beat you at that race. But yeah, if you have an idea, start talking about it. I mean, you don't have to tell the world, but talk to people you trust. And reach out to me if you're in the trades industry and you feel like you have an idea. But yeah, definitely entertain it. Yeah. Yeah, awesome. And as a final kind of thought, what will success be for you and for Green Light Escrow? Yeah, I feel like just starting my plumbing company, I felt was success. Finishing my apprenticeship, I felt was success. I suppose it's a goal post that keeps on moving. I feel like I'm successful right now. But my next goal, my goal post is to get to that 100 customers. And we're currently working on opening our Australian business. But yeah, that's the next goal post. Oh, magic. Well, thank you so much for sharing the story so far today, and I can't wait to see where you take it next. See where I'll come back in a year and see if I've got to that next goalpost. Yeah, do, man. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much to Max Semmons-Russell. Thank you to you for listening and having us along. Thank you to everyone who helps make this happen, like our producer, Te Aihe Butler. And if you do like what we do, please do rate and leave a review. It really does help. E no hora.
From the Spin-Off Podcast Network, that was Business is Boring, brought to you by SparkLab. Make sure you're following Business is Boring wherever you get your podcasts. And for more information on SparkLab, visit sparklab.co.nz.
Do you find it hard staying optimistic with all the financial news in the media? I'm Bernard Hickey, and on my podcast, When the Facts Change, I'm here to help you navigate the ever-changing landscape of economics in Aotearoa. So join the conversation every Friday on When the Facts Change, brought to you by the Spin-Off Podcast Network in partnership with KiwiBet.
Kia ora e te iwi, Te Aihe Butler here, podcast manager at The Spin-Off. If you enjoy listening to our podcasts, consider supporting our mahi by signing up to become a Spin-Off member at thespinoff.co.nz/donate. The Spin-Off Podcast Network.